This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social, now joined by Umar Sadiq. Take two. Umar, how are you?
I'm great, thank you for having me.
I'm all good as well. So, like I said, we're down here today. Joshua-Povetkin for the workout. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I think that Joshua, or I'd imagine that Joshua will be coming out to make a bit of a point because he's had a bit of stick recently over his performance with Parker, and then consequently how Chisora dealt with Takam and Dylan White dealt with Parker. So I'd imagine he'll come out to make a statement in this fight. And but ultimately it comes down to levels, and I believe that although Povetkin's a gold medalist in the Olympics, so is Joshua, and Joshua is that much better of a boxer, and I think he's going to have a comfortable win.
Do you think that maybe that little bit of criticism is harsh on Anthony because of what he has achieved in such a quick space of time?
I think yes and no. I think it's harsh in the sense of speaking realistically, like you said, in such a short space of time he's done so much. He's already got a legend in his record. You know, he's selling out stadiums, he won a British title very early on in a domestic rivalry, and all these things he's done are great. But speaking objectively, he has been built to be an indestructible wrecking force of a machine, and I think because of that, whenever people get anything other than that, they're always going to be critical because then they feel that they're not getting what they were sold. But ultimately, you know, he's doing way more than most fighters are doing at this stage of their career. He's had half the fights that Wilder's had, and his resume is already better. So you know, you got to give him this credit for that.
So, with that bearing that in mind, is that maybe playing on Anthony's mind in build-up to this fight? Do you think?
I mean, I can't really say because I'm not in a camp like that. But again, his stock value would have been affected by this, and for that reason, again, I know that as much as he loves boxing, he's a boxer, he's still very commercially savvy, and you would understand that he needs to put on a performance to raise his stock value again, and just to remind people that he is #1 heavyweight. So again, I expect a good performance from him.
Do you think if Anthony comes out with that in mind and goes out looking to make put on a performance, it's a very risky strategy against someone like Alexander Povetkin?
It would be. However, when you think about it, every time you see Anthony speak, so you got to read in the mannerisms of a person. Every time you see Anthony speak, he takes his time before he speaks. You know, he's well articulated, and I think you could tell a lot about a person's personality from the way they box. So even though he might go for the knockout, I believe he will still do it in a tactful manner, so that, you know, I'll be very surprised if he went in there reckless, to put it that way.
So what are your thoughts on the whole triangle between himself, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury? Obviously Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury will be meeting at some point this year. What are your thoughts on that bout, and where does Anthony fit into that?
I think it's fantastic because look what it's doing for boxing. It's got people, I've got casual people who don't normally talk about boxing asking me questions. So they're bringing a lot of attention to boxing, which means everyone in boxing wins, including yourselves. You know, so I think it's fantastic for that reason. And in regards to who's #1, it's all debatable. It comes down to what perspective you're looking at it from. I mean, you've got one guy who's knocking everyone out. He's had 40 fights. Had a great fight with Luis Ortiz. You've got another guy who claims to be the lineal champion, or I guess technically is the lineal champion. And then you've got Joshua, who's got 3 belts. And for every single one of those guys, you can make an argument. And I think that's what makes it so interesting and why so many people are discussing these things.
So who for you is the #1 in the division?
I'll keep my mouth sealed.
Well, I know you're down here as well, supporting your boy Lawrence Okolie. How has Lawrence looked in camp?
Lawrence is in phenomenal shape. I've known Lawrence since we were boxing in the amateurs, you know, when he was boxing in the novices and stuff. And I could seriously say, hand on heart, this is the best condition I've ever seen Lawrence in physically. And you know, all camp, well, last couple of weeks of camp, I've been saying to him, look, you're ready to fight now. All you need to do is stay mentally switched on. So, you know, you hear the team shouting there. It's all love in the camp, but you know, the reason why I was so confident is because we work so hard, man. We graft real hard. You know, without giving much away, there are very few who graft as hard as we do, but also as smart as we do. So physically, he's absolutely prepared. And it's just a matter of him staying switched on mentally on fight night, and I think everyone's in for a good show.
In only 10 fights, if he is victorious, he'd have picked up the British title. Do you think, Matt, he's ready for that fast track? He's actually said to me, I did an interview with him on Friday, and he said that he's going at a quicker pace than what Anthony Joshua did. Do you think that he's right to be going at such a quick pace?
Yeah, there was actually they had a bit of banter about that last week, Joshua Lawrence. But yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, our coach, Brian O'Shaughnessy, is very experienced in boxing, and he would only take a fight that he believed he would win. Coincidentally, that seems to be every fight that gets thrown at him. But again, like I said, we train very hard, very smart, and I think although publicly it seems that he's moving very fast, within the camp we're seeing it just as, well, that's what you're supposed to be fighting at, you know. So for us, it doesn't seem that we're going too fast. It just seems like, you know, he's fighting at the level he's supposed to be and everything's comfortable.
Lawrence seems very confident, very comfortable, and he knows, provided he puts on performs to the best of his abilities, he will win. Has there been any? Do you ever look at it maybe that he's ever overlooked Matty Askin from any perspective?
No chance. No chance. Pretty much all he's talked about for the up until last week has been Askins. So he's taking him serious. I mean, we're always talking, breaking things down, sharing ideas, but ultimately Coach Brian, you know, he has a final say and he says what matters. And Lawrence is, with the work that he's put in, I mean, I've gone to Sheffield with him a couple of times in this camp, so we've lived in the same house basically, you know, for a week at a time. And the commitment that he has and the level of work he's put in, he's 100% taking him serious. It's the kind of stuff that breaks most people, but he keeps on going. And you know, I've been side by side with him. I'm fitter than most people I've ever trained with, and he was pushing me through my paces. And he's a cruiserweight, I'm a super middle, so you know he's trained hard for this one.
In your opinion, where is Lawrence, if he picks up the victory, where would you rank him in the current cruiserweight climate? Do you believe that he should be challenging for a European belt, or he should be pushing on further and he could be challenging for a world title in the same space of time which Anthony Joshua did in only his 16th fight?
Yeah, I mean, with the cruiserweight division, I'm not too privy to it, so I don't know that as much as I should do about it. So I don't feel that I'm in a place to make an informed comment on it. However, what I would say is, I mean, you know, right at the very top, you've got the likes of Usyk. I wouldn't necessarily put Lawrence in there or agree for him to go in with Usyk right now. But then there are a few other people that are at the top level that I'll fancy his chances against. But at this stage, you'll be a 50-50. If he was to wait a little bit longer, then it'll be more like 60-40, 65-35, that sort of stuff. But right now, there are a lot of people that I think, even beyond the European level, he's already 50-50 with. And I know a lot of people doubt him, but he's only proven himself right so far, and there's a reason behind that.
And another big fight on the card is Luke Campbell going in with Mendy. What are your thoughts on that one in an eliminator for the WBC bout?
I think it's a fantastic fight for them. I think Luke Campbell's team have done a good job getting that fight on. A lot of people question why he would take it, but from what I know, Luke Campbell was facing a lot of demons going into that last fight. You know, he was ill, a few things personally happened to him, and you know, in an ideal world you'd pull out, but this isn't football where you get to sit on a sub bench. You know, boxing's a bit different. So, but taking that aside as well, he's gone and fought the likes of Linares and made a very good account of himself. He's gone up levels, so I think putting all of that together, taking away the, not excuses, but the reasons why he believes he fell short last time, and adding to that the level he's gone on to box at, I can see why he would have every belief in his, you know, in this world as to why he'll do a number of Mendy. Plus he's got a great team behind him. You know, Shane McGuigan's a great tactician. He's one of the coaches out there who I really respect, and I think Luke Campbell's in there more than likely to do a job.
And David Price making his return to the heavyweight scene. Yeah. Is this his last chance now to try and make an impact in the division?
How many times have we said that? That's the thing. I wouldn't say that because I think it's down to every fighter and the team or the family to decide when it's enough for them. But this is the discussion that's been had numbers of times. I mean, last time I got knocked out by Povetkin, so I don't know. I wouldn't want to say, but hopefully, I really hope he comes out and does a good job because I think he's had a very steep fall from grace. You know, from when he first signed, turned professional. He was meant to be the Joshua. you know, and then look at the way his career's gone. So I wish nothing but the best for him, you know, because it's a very tough sport. Us fighters will commit our lives to this, we'll make sacrifices, we have troubles with our loved ones, you know, because we're so committed to the sport. And for all he's dedicated to the sport, I would just love for him to get something out of it, because it could be a steep decline even mentally. You know, a lot of fighters are suffering mental health and things like that. And I know the world doesn't necessarily work that way, you know. Life gives to the deserving, and I just hope he's worked really hard for this fight and has a good game plan and does well.
And this past weekend we've just saw the rematch between Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. What were your thoughts on that one?
First of all, every single person won in that fight. The fighters, the teams, the crowd, everyone. It lived up to expectation, which is something that's unusual in boxing, rematches. I feel that Canelo was fighting against a lot of people's moral values going into the ring. So, and also where Golovkin's a destructive guy, I think a lot of people were fixated on what Golovkin was going to do as opposed to what was actually happening objectively. It didn't help that some of the commentary, you know, narrated a fight in a way that it wasn't going. I thought that Canelo did spectacular. I always fancied a boxer against a slugger, but Canelo imposed his will, controlled the tempo of the fight, controlled where the fight was happening, landed on more power shots. I've heard a lot of arguments about GGG landing more shots, but if you're landing more shots, what type of shots are you landing? The quality power shots, the meaningful shots, the chopping shots to the body, all coming from Canelo. And I had him winning by 2 rounds. So I had no qualms with the scorecards. I could also see it as a draw because some of the rounds were that tight. So if it was a draw, I had no qualms either. If it went to GGG by a round, I would have disagreed with it, but I would have accepted it. So for all the people shouting at robbery, I think they just need to like chill out, because if that was by no means a robbery.
And we've just seen a little clip doing the rounds over the weekend of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. What are your thoughts on if Floyd does come back and if there is a rematch at this stage in their, well, I say careers, obviously Floyd's retired, but if he does come back?
I really hope he doesn't. I don't know how he can come back. I mean, he didn't look that great against McGregor, but then rumour has it he wasn't training very much, he was in a strip club or an adult association until 4 AM the night before the fight. But I really hope the fight doesn't happen, because Manny Pacquiao looks quite devastating in his last fight. And I know Floyd's a different calibre, isn't he? He can nullify everything you do, but you know, you've got 50-0, the number sounds nice, you've got all the money you need, you've got all the investments you need, so you tell us, just stay out of it and enjoy retirement, man.
Is that your ambition, that money? You must have hopes to do something like that.
100%. I mean, I'd love to make as much money as possible in boxing, and then in businesses after boxing, and I'd love to spend the latter part of my life giving a lot of that money away, doing a lot of charity and just being a philanthropist basically. So yeah, it would be great to have the money he has, because all the good I could do in the world with it.
And before we come to, we don't need to talk about your retirement because you're still young in the game. We're waiting on your next announcement. Have you got any names lined up, any opponents, fights, what we're looking at?
Frank was in an IFL interview recently. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention on your channel, but where he mentioned, you know, that I'm meant to be fighting another undefeated prospect, Zach Chelly in Brentwood. I'm just waiting for a few things to be finalised with that, so there hasn't been an official announcement as of yet, but I'm always in the gym, I'm always training. My saying is, I don't get ready, I stay ready. So as of if and when the fight's announced and made, I'm ready to go, rock and roll, I'll do the business.
Oh, that is the best way to end the interview, Umar. So thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you for having me, always a pleasure. Cool.
Thank you.